Hi, this is Ed Hannan here with SMPS, and as part of the 40th anniversary celebration of SMPS, we're talking to past national presidents, and we're here today with Laurin McCracken, the Chief Marketing Officer for Jacobs Global Buildings, and Laurin was national president in 1986.
1986.
Right? Excellent. And Laurin, how are you today?
I'm fine. Pleased to be here with you, as always.
Thank you. So some of the questions we have are sort of looking back on your time as national president and how SMPS has sort of been there along the way. During your term and during that sort of time when you were president, what were some of the milestones in the history of SMPS that took place?
Well, that's a great way to phrase it, because we had a couple of presidents before me. Bruce Lee was the president directly before me, and then before that was the late Thomas Stokes Page, and those guys realized that we had gotten to our teenage years. We were 14 years, 15 years. I was the 15th year president, and Tom particularly said, we have accomplished so much in those first 12, 14 years. We had achieved Wilcox's dream. We had created a profession of professional service marketers. And at the same time, we had grown to the point where we were a solid business. And that was the point that Tom Page made. His tenure, we had the first $1 million budget, and we could no longer run it out of somebody's checkbook, because we had always been such a fledgling organization, hoping we would survive, and so Tom made us look at the fact that we were well established, and we were really rocking and rolling because we had started to achieve big goals, and he passed it on to Bruce, and Bruce passed this on to me. What we did in our presidencies was establish SMPS as a business. We started the long-range planning process. We started the long-term budgeting. We realized that we had to have money in the bank in case things went wrong. So, now, because of the economy and some other internal politics thing, a lot of this stuff didn't happen for another 5 or 6 years. I mean, it was Randy Tucker, who was president like 4 times after me, who finally was able to publish the long-term plan. And if you talk to him today, he would tell you that was one of the real milestones in his presidency. I was just pleased to be able to provide that continuity. And the thing I'd like to be remembered for my presidency, I'm the person that put forward the idea that we needed a fellows program and we needed a foundation. And my view was they would be more interlocked than they have come today, and think that they're beginning to see this. They're getting the foundation and the fellows closer together. It was tough times during my presidency. We had a really difficult board, but we did advance the society toward its maturity.
Yeah, and those are things that still are around today.
Absolutely.
What were some of the challenges that SMPS, the industry, and the profession faced in that time, and then how did SMPS sort of handle those challenges?
Well, we were in a very cyclical economic market at that time, not the kind of deep cycles we've just gone through. They were more almost every 2 to 3 years, and almost daily. You got up every morning to see what the interest rates were, and sometimes they would go up 3 or 4 points. These were the years where the interest rate was 12, 14%, and you may have had a project yesterday, but if the interest rate went up 3 points, that developer couldn't borrow any money, and all of a sudden you didn't have a job. So it was difficult times, but I think that. Again, reaching that level of maturity, and the other thing that we had finally realized, that there was a core curriculum that formed the basis of education at SMPS, and we were working very, very hard to solidify that, and I think that we did great moves in those several years there in solidifying the core curriculum that's still there today, that became the basis of the handbook.
Yep. Excellent. And what would you say is, your big dream for the future of SMPS, the profession and the industry, as maybe we look toward not only 40 years, but maybe 50 years and beyond?
Well, I think that one of the things SMPS does one thing incredibly well, and I hope it will always be there. They are the source of marketing for people entering this profession, and it doesn't matter whether your goal is to be the senior marketing coordinator and proposal writer, and there are roles for those people. Not everybody's going to be the director of marketing or the CMO. But again, back those years, who would have ever thought there would be a C-suite spot for a marketer? Now there is a CMO role, and we are beginning to really recognize that now. And as of those of us who have been around long enough to reach that level, the need now is to meet the services needs of those people, the educational needs, the advancement needs. And I think that's where SMPS will be going, so that in another 20, 30, 40 years, there'll be a great balance between entry-level education and senior-level continuing ed, the thing we're doing at the University of Maryland. I champion that. All the research the foundation is doing, those are the things that will advance SMPS and keep it viable.
Excellent. And I mean, as someone who has the historical perspective that you do, having been involved with this organization for the better part of 30 years, the evolution of the marketer within that time has to be something incredible. You talk about the C-suite and everything. Because, I mean, you would actually be more qualified to answer this than probably 3/4 of the people here at Bill Business. That wasn't a common thing 30 years ago, was it?
Oh, no. Remember, we were, with smart people like Wilcox and Tom Page and people like that, they realized we were moving out of that good old boy area. You no longer could go play golf with somebody at the country club and come home with a job. I mean, SMPS was started in a time where the first RFPs were being issued by IBM. Nobody knew what an RFP was. And so today, there are those processes of getting jobs that didn't exist back then. They've been pretty well codified, and that is the core of SMPS's educational program, is to teach people how to respond to that changing market. Now, what we're going to see going forward with PPPs and things like that, how we get work, who gets funded for that, and how they team with their leaders in architecture, engineering, it's a whole new ball game. So we continue to live in an evolving world, and what we've got to do as the people that have been around a long time, and the excellent staff that SMPS has, is to continue to evolve the society, stay not up with anymore, but stay ahead of the changes in the marketplace.
We'll get back to the list I have here in a second, but the last one I was thinking of was, does change happen faster now, or does just the pace of technology and everything move faster?
Well, because of the change of technologies move. Now, you remember that 15 years ago, I did a program at the Del Coronado for the Southwestern Regional, and I was asked to put on a program of, was the computer a change agent? How important was it? And we had people like Diane Creel and Nancy Egan, pretty much the leadership. I had like 7 people on the panel, and they to a person said, nope, it's just a tool. It won't change how we do business.
Perspective has changed that.
Absolutely. Nobody would say that again today. I mean, what are all the new programs about at SMPS right now? They're about social media,
It's all about technology.
Exactly, and technology, and how you can connect with your client without ever even meeting your client today. Who would have ever thought? I mean, the first thing they taught us 10 years ago is go meet the head of real estate at IBM. Now, to get an RFP, you don't necessarily have to do that anymore. It doesn't hurt.
It never hurts. It never hurts. What would you say is SMPS's greatest asset?
Oh, it's the people. It's the network. There's just no two ways about it. People come for the education, but we only have so many courses.
Right.
Once you take them all, so why do people keep coming back? Because it's the network, and it is the social network of the industry. You can't always call another architect. If you're going to go after a project, and somebody pointed out the other day, if you're going after a project in L.A., the last one you'd call would be another architect.
Right.
But you go to your SMPS online directory and see who's there. You probably already know somebody there, and all you do is you call and say, I'm an SMPS member, if you don't remember me, and then what's that person going to do?
Yep.
How can I help you?
That's right.
And it's happened from in the years where we had a hard copy directory, and Jean Murphy was the executive director. She'd just send me 2 because in the middle of about 6 months, because I carried it with me everywhere, the first one would wear out. And now we don't. Now we carry it in our iPhones.
Yeah. You have to bookmark it and keep
That's
it right
right.
at your fingertips. Looking back to when you were leading SMPS, what was the reason or reasons you decided to step up and volunteer and lead the organization?
Well, one of the 2 basic reasons is it just was the natural flow, because we were just starting chapters. I'd been one of the founding members of the Chicago chapter. I moved to Dallas in 1982 and just stepped up, became the treasurer, and then became the president of that chapter. And then back then we had regional directors.
Yep.
And one of my favorite SMPS stories, I was running against the famed Kay Lentz out of Houston. I'd never met Kay, but everybody knew of Kay, senior marketer for 3DI at the time. And I squeaked by and won. And our convention that year was in New Orleans, and we were in the Hilton down on the water in this huge ballroom, and they had we were much more formal about things back then. We had the whole board come in, and they had us seated on this dais, and the freshman class was on the front row, and all of a sudden I'm looking down, and this very attractive woman is standing right in front of me with her hands on her hips, and I said, "Hello, I'm Laurin McCracken." She said, "I'm Kay Lentz, and I just came to see what you look like sitting in my seat." But I came off the dais, gave her a hug, and we've been really good friends ever since.
And she's been involved the whole time.
That's right.
She's another one who's been involved the whole time.
And so, about in a number of years after having served on the national board as the regional director, it was a 2-year term, and so then I joined RTKL, and I was asked by Tom Page and Bruce and Nancy Egan, our good friends, to say, you need to help us build this continuity, and you need to run. So that would mean 3 more years on the board. It was a 5-year gig, and but I was just changing jobs. So I went to Harold Adams, the CEO and president of RTKL, and he was a very unusual guy. But he was a member of SMPS. He was a very unusual guy in that he saw the future need, and
as a firm leader.
A firm leader, and RTKL was one of those few firms who really believed in the institutionalization of marketing, and they always had great staffs and everything, but they never had a partner leader. So I was going to go do that. So I went to Harold and I said, "Look, I've been asked if I would run for the presidency. What do you think about it?" He and I sat there, and one of the great things about Harold said, "No, I'll go think about it and I'll let you know."
Yeah.
He sat there until we could discuss it and he'd make a decision, and we decided that would be the best thing that could happen, because I'd have this great national exposure. People would know I was at RTKL, and one of the reasons they wanted me to be at RTKL because they wanted to move out of being just known as being the shopping center firm, and they wanted to move in the general marketplace, and this was going to be just fabulous exposure, and it worked like a charm. There are a lot of people in the nation that never heard of RTKL unless they were in the shopping center industry. After my term as president,
they do now.
Then they knew.
They do now.
They didn't know exactly who they were, but at least they knew they were a power to be reckoned with.
And the last question I have for you is, what is your best memory or memories of your time in office, or of which accomplishment are you most proud of?
Well, my fondest memories is because of this mandate I had from Harold Adams at RTKL. I just told Jean Murphy, I said, we've got 30 chapters out there, and national officers haven't met most people. So over my year as president-elect and my year as president, I got to visit every chapter, even the brand new chapter in in Alaska.
Wow.
Carla Thompson, the regional director, and I got on Alaska Air, and that was a fabulous experience. So having been able to reach out as the national leader and touch every chapter out there and let them know that they were part of a much bigger operation was one of the most rewarding things could have happened to me, both as a leader of the society and for me personally. I got to know so many people, and that's how I really understood how big and valuable the network was.
Laurin, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yeah, and for those of you listening, be on the lookout for more podcasts celebrating the 40th anniversary of SMPS.